I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have the minutes for the March 21st meeting have been distributed. I have a motion to approve. Jeremy, Mike Malone, seconds the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Treasurer's report.
Okay, we'll start with the code, just one page, no activity last month. No change other than an interest on the bank account of 72 cents. The district, we've got 40, district vouchers, 0 codes vouchers, 2 credit card vouchers, 3 overtime vouchers, and 5 vouchers that came in late, meaning didn't make the report. And on the District 1, front page, top assets, bottom, what we owe, or bills. It's a light month, $16,485. Page 2 and 3 is the budget versus the actual expenses. 4 and 5 is the previous year comparison. Page 6 and 7 are the bank account pages. Page 6 is the general fund savings. Page 7 are the reserve, 4 reserve accounts. Page 8 is the referendums. We have 2 at the top. At the bottom is just my notes. Service award, we lost $5,712.15 last month. We're at $1,053,000. And 10, 11, and 12 are the voucher pages. Vouchers. Paperwork from the participants in the service awards is coming in to let me know if they want to take their money or leave it in. That's proceeding nicely. And the audit has begun in earnest. No red flags yet.
What was that, Bill?
The audit has started in earnest. No red flags yet.
Any questions for Bill?
And you win the bank statements. Yeah,
Aye?
you do.
Okay, I'll do them tomorrow.
Yeah.
At the office. Report to motion to approve the treasurer's report. Mike Malone, Jeremy Patterson, seconds. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. We have a motion to approve the payment of the vouchers that were audited. Mike Malone, Jeremy. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Are we ready to close out that permissive referendum for the kitchen? I think we are, aren't we? Did you pay for
The
the,
tables have been paid
for these units? And we did have some issues with the performance of the heating units, but
for. They've been thoroughly tested.
was that?
They've been thoroughly tested
Yeah.
and working.
So we're happy with paying for them, and we're ready to close out that permissive referendum. I don't think we need a motion on that, do we? You want a motion on that, Bill, or?
Yes. Okay, please.
Okay. Jeremy makes a motion, Mike Chura seconds. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Correspondence, Amy?
The Central Region Fire Districts Association meeting is next Monday, April 25th at Lakeside. If any commissioners are interested in going, just let myself or Kit know. Or Bill. It's at 6:30 is dinner, meeting starts at 7. And that's all I've got.
Chief's report. Are you going to give that report?
Yes, Chief Speech had to be at work this evening. So, equipment, we've got several groups of equipment that are currently in the pipeline to be delivered. We've ordered supply line, and that's ongoing to get that in. Some miscellaneous medical supplies have been put on order, hoping to get those in for our new EMS bags on Rescue 1. We're looking to purchase, one of the larger items is we're looking to purchase 2 more of the Knox box units similar to the ones in the squads placed on some of our fire apparatus. In relationship to fire apparatus, ongoing items that have been reported in the past related to truck 2, we're waiting on some of the equipment that we've ordered. The PAC mounting brackets have come in, and we're going to work on getting those installed, the Jerry get those installed. Other quotes are starting to come in, and the chief will start reviewing those for the purchase process. Still looking to purchase several items for truck 2, working on that, and working through the punch list both with Jerry and with the apparatus sales representatives. MDT mounting equipment for truck 2 has come in. It's scheduled to be installed on April 9th, so we can get that taken care of. And then M1, unrelated to truck 2, but M1 has been placed in service for the season by Jerry, so we've got that available. Grass bars and other stuff like that. COVID-19 preparation-wise, we've been communicating out to the membership, responding members, the the PPE guidelines requirements, principally wearing EMS or wearing masks on all the EMS calls. Chief has COVID tests that we as a department can administer to members to any of our members if they wish to be tested for, of course, any reason. To do that, all they need to do is contact Chief Speech. He'll either take care of it or one of the designated EMS folks can handle that. Mask restrictions have been lifted and communicated out to the members. You can read that for yourselves. And we've also communicated out to the membership that this policy, loosening up the mask restrictions, is a fluid situation and can change as circumstances in the country, county, department, et cetera, change. Zoll EMS charge software, our EMS members are getting quite comfortable using it. They seem to be getting comfortable with it, I should say. Chiefs doesn't have any errors to report. So they've been working through it. They've been asking the chief for guidance and questions as they've come up. So, and the chief's been working with some of the members that have had some good observations about maybe some enhancements or tweaks to try and get those incorporated into it. As always, the chief's encouraging people to put duty crews together and do engine 91 dates. And again, always encourage our members to use bricks, useful tool for us, chief officers as well as other members. And that's about it, unless anybody has any questions for the chief that I might be able to answer.
Any questions? Okay. Chief Massaro's not here. Do you have a report for him also?
Yeah, I can give a summary. Last month we did the chief has been doing it as ongoing pre-plans working on numerous, he's got, I'll call it in the pipeline. He's working through kind of getting those completed, getting those documented. Last month we did a evening of pre-planned training. Just from a personal note, I find these pre-planned training nights to be very informative. I learn a lot about the facilities or the structures or the businesses by going through the pre-plans, because it gives our department and myself a good inside look at the business, at the layout, at the structure, etc. So I find these very useful. At any rate, last month, Chief Pissarro did a presentation on Arc of Onondaga in Radisson. He's got several of them in the pipeline that he's working through to get done. Get those done. One of the comments that came out of the training last month, as we were discussing Arc of Onondaga, is our ultimate goal with the pre-plans is to make them accessible to any member in the right front seat or chief officer or even office, members at the station or on the rigs as a reference tool, either to familiarize themselves before or during an alarm or while alarms, while we're responding to the alarm. Chief's ultimate goal is to have some type of electronic copy, if you will, or a folder on our MDTs that can then be accessed. We aren't there yet, but the suggestion was made that a 3-ring binder be put together and the pre-plans that have been completed put into the 3-ring binder, put on the apparatus in the chief's car. The Chief Pissarro thought it was a good idea, as did, I'm sure, I thought it was a good idea, and I'm sure Chief Speech thought it was a good idea. So we're going to work to do that, to make those pre-plans available to members on the rigs, chief officers. We can start using them, getting familiar with them, and they're a new available resource to us. And then evolve into an electronic version of that on the MDTs. So it could be brought up on the MDT, review the information that might be important. So that's pretty much it for the Chief Pissarro, rather.
Any questions? Well, let's go on to your own report. Chief Corcoran.
This month we have, I'd say the big item is the mandatory TOAC task-oriented air consumption qualification, requalification is going through. We've done one evening of qualifications and requalifications, and we've gotten 13 of our members through, interior, exterior, if you will, have completed the TOAC. We've got 2 more dates set. I'm sure you saw the email. We had kind of a questionable Saturday morning, so the chief and I discussed it, felt it would be best to kind of to postpone it or reschedule it. So it's currently scheduled for this coming Saturday. So we'll see how the weather goes on that. But at any rate, we're going to have at least 3 scheduled. We've done 1. We're going to have at least 1 scheduled on a Saturday morning, and then another Thursday evening scheduled. The chief and I will sit down and reassess, how many and still need the TOAC and where they fall as far as interior, exterior A, B, or C, and then determine if we need to do another Thursday evening or Saturday morning or other morning, whichever we think might work best. So again, we'll reassess and we'll go from there, but if we need to do another one, certainly we'll do that. Last training of the month, if weather holds, meaning we don't have to bump the TOAC, talking about doing master streams, and I'm also in conversations with the officers at Station 2. They've got a new hose load for the bumpers, front bumpers, that they'd like to demonstrate to the membership. They think it'd be a pretty good one to use. So again, we'll be probably doing something related to hoses and nozzles and master streams the last Thursday training night of the month. Just looking to the future as we're starting to get into the better weather. One of the other trainings that we have that's mandatory training is the personal rescue device training. We work with the chief to develop a schedule for that, to get our members that are issued personal rescue devices, get those folks requalified, and any members that haven't had it before that need it, get that done. EVOC, it's not a mandatory, but the chief and I have talked about making sure that we do that at least once a year. Weather gets nice, a little bit of a lecture, hands-on, reminding folks of good operator practices when they're operating fire apparatus. And then again, as we get into the nice weather, we want to get out into the tower for a variety of training, and started conversations with the chief, plan on having some conversations with the line officers concerning live fire training. So that's kind of the training schedule, if you will, or what I've got kind of forecasting for training. One other thing I'd like to discuss with you, I need to start with an apology, I guess you might say. I pulled in last Thursday night, and I didn't realize I was as efficient as I am, but there was a car already parked out on the pad. Every year we do tool training, extrication training, MVC training, and I had started the conversation because, as we all know, supply, logistics, materials are at a premium. Still a lot of lags, as we're seeing with some of the equipment for Truck 2. So I reached out and contacted Nobles. They've always been terrific about working with me to get vehicles for us to be able to do car cutting, extrication, MVC type training. Had a conversation with Tim concerning what I was interested in, and Tim said he'd work to get us some cars. He thought he could get it. He thought he could had a couple lined up. He thought he might be getting in, and when he got one in, he delivered it to Station 2 to the pad. My intention is to let you folks know what I was up to, kind of get permission, and then call Tim and have him bring it over. I called Tim Friday morning. He delivered it Thursday. I called Tim Friday morning to check in with him. Told him that I didn't need any more cars. Somebody had delivered a car for free. That didn't go over too well with him. But nonetheless, he said he'd been real busy. He got the car in. He wanted to get it over to us because he wasn't sure what we needed. So great customer service. So I apologize for you hearing about the car after it was delivered. Kind of in relationship to that, I was approached by some of the line officers. They had a request and kind of laid out for me a plan. So as it went, they want to get, the request is that they'd like to get 4 vehicles down to Station 2 on the pad for extrication training. They'd like it to be down there for, they'd like the cars to be there for, they would like 3 to 4 months. So in the conversation with them, in the discussion with them, what the thought process is, or the reason for it is that it gives the department, I'll say, practice work with the tools and with the equipment on a repetitive nature. As a department, they also were talking about doing it as companies, getting 5 firefighters together, officer working that way, and then as groups, both on Thursday evenings as well as other evenings and as well as some weekends. So in the discussion, before I get ahead of myself, the reason for, or their thought process, or as the discussion unfolded, the reason for 4 vehicles was this. 1 vehicle to do, I'll call it non-destructive training. Locks, working on locks, working on opening the doors, working on getting into the vehicles without cutting, breaking windows, things of that nature. A second vehicle for stabilization, using airbags, using the rescue jacks, et cetera, the blocking and that sort of thing on the second vehicle. The other two vehicles are what I call for full-scale extrication, where they use the tools, take a door off, open the trunk, open the hood, forcibly open the hood, the trunk, and then at some point take the roof off, et cetera, et cetera. Towards the end of the time, when the vehicles are towards the end of the training period, if you will, the thought process is that we can use those two lesser damaged vehicles, the vehicle that was used for lock-in work, people locked in the vehicles, the less cutting work, and the stabilization vehicle, we can use those for car fires. And then have Tim pick up as needed. And again, working with Tim, he's great to work with. In my mind, if we cut the two cars up to the point where they're unusable for training, I'm sure he'd be happy to come over and pick them up, pick one up, pick the other up, pick them both up, pick all four of them up together or at different times. He's very amenable to work with us. So I think we can get a lot of benefit out of that. As I mentioned, the thought process is not only for Thursday night structure training for the department, but also other evenings, other days, as smaller groups run by company officers, for example. The benefits in my mind, after this proposal was made to me, was I think it'll do a number of different things, and I kind of thought through this a little bit. I think it's going to create some interest in additional training over and above the Thursday night training. And in my mind, if people kind of come down and do some of this on a Wednesday night, Tuesday night, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, or whatever, if some of the officers or even myself in the department want to do some training, say on a Saturday afternoon, whatever the training might be, people will be more amenable to it because they've done some other stuff in small groups. The other thought process was from the officers, and I agree with it, it'll foster interest because part of what they want to do is also incorporate an EMS function, which we have in the past when we do the department drills, but it gets a little cumbersome with large groups. Invite some of our EMS members to do, be inside the car, patient assessment, those sorts of things while they're working on, various aspects of the other things, as well as encouraging or incorporating exterior members into using the tools, helping with stabilization, giving assignments related that they certainly could do. I think this is going to have a benefit, as I said, on a number of different levels. Gets people working together, gets people kind of comfortable with each other, kind of builds some morale, builds some excitement about it. It allows us to have more hands-on training because the smaller groups, you can get more people involved versus a Thursday night where we may have 10 or 12 or 15 and everybody gets to do one or two or three things. Maybe this way everybody gets to do a little more of it. I also think it's really good because now the company officers are giving direction to the members that they might have on a rig versus, they'll become more comfortable. Given the direction, the members will be more comfortable taking the direction. It's a good two-way learning process in my mind. I also think, as I was thinking through this, in these small group environments, it's going to give some of our lesser experienced members more opportunity to use the stuff, use the equipment, get direction on a more one-to-one basis, and they may feel a little more comfortable in a small group versus the whole department there, and they don't know how to do something. They may, be a little more hesitant to step up and do something. Having said that, some of the things that I kind of thought through, and I want to have conversations with the officers about if this is something that we can move forward with, is that's a training area. It's intended as a training area, but the department and the district always is very careful about giving a good impression to the community, meaning that we want to keep that area cleaned up, picked up, nice and neat. Even though a car may be cut up a little bit, as long as there isn't parts and pieces and debris strewn all around it, I think it has less of a bad visual impact. As people drive by, they see it more as something that's involved with training than just a junk car that's parked there. So I want to work with, kind of set up some type of procedure or policy or mechanism that however the training is conducted, that it's properly cleaned up, policed, and neat afterwards. I think also that there should be some notification, if you will, whether it be to the training chief. Again, it's down to Station 2, the station chief, which would be me also, or a chief, so that say on a Tuesday night, I could run down on Wednesday morning and just take a quick look, make sure everything's picked up nice and neat, so there's no surprises if somebody does drive by, or if people drive by, they do see something that's neat. Nothing got missed, nothing got overlooked. It looks orderly. Other thing I'll just mention to you is we'll label the cars so that, say, one group is thinking the left-hand car is the non-destructive car. The next group comes in and doesn't misunderstand and think the left-hand car is the one that they're going to run the tools on. So we'll label them so that they get used properly throughout the evolutions. My thoughts and suggestions are all training conducted, whether it's at the company level or the group level, Tuesday night, Wednesday or Saturday afternoon, whatever, needs to be run by an officer. That way we have some leadership, we have some point of contact, we have some point of accountability. I also think it'd be important that there be detailed documentation of what training is going to take place, what skills are going to be worked on, what tasks are going to be performed, rather than a training sheet filled out that just says extrication training done. That way we've got a good kind of outline of what's been done. Other officers coming in can look at it and say, okay, they did this, we can work on something different or work on something the same. Just so we get good documentation. Also, I think having a company officer involved there is this way we know who's in charge. Also, that should be communicated out to whichever chief is notified that it's taking place, and also what members are attending and participating. That all needs to be documented. Not call the chief and say, hey, Bill, Bob, John, and Joe are going to be there, but make sure that the training record outlines who's there, who participated. And then also, at part of that training record, I would ask that the status of the vehicles after they finish what they're doing. The other thing that I would recommend, just from my perspective, and something I would recommend, is that if we go forward with this, that say Joe Corcoran, chief's going to go down on Tuesday night and do some company level training with a small group of people, that it is communicated out to the membership. I don't want this to turn into just these 4 people, these 5 people, time and time again get the opportunity to do the training, and some of the other members that may not be looped in, if you will, or aware it's going on, miss out on it. So make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to participate in this. From my perspective, as I was listening to the officers kind of explaining what they had in mind, I personally think it's a good idea. I've already kind of outlined that I think it's great. It'll be really great for morale. I think it'll get members working together much closer. And if we do invite all members of the fire department, now we get 2 from Station 1, 2 from Station 2, 3 from Station 1, 2 from Station 2. You get the idea. Everybody working together rather than just Station 1 goes down on Tuesday, Station 2 goes down on Wednesday. I also think it'll be good from the standpoint of if an officer's running the training, if an officer's giving the direction of the training, the members are gaining confidence in the officer's getting some practice or some experience at giving direction to the members as far as what needs to be done, rather than just taking tools and doing it, more of that first line supervisor type training. So those are just some of the benefits I saw. I thought about it after, took some quick notes when we were talking, went home, sat down, thought about it, and kind of put my thoughts on a piece of paper so I wouldn't forget them. So that's kind of my.
What are you looking at? Is it time for 2 months, 4 months? 2 weeks? I mean, what's your time frame?
I will put it this way, during the conversation, as I said, I was trying to listen, they said 3 to 4 months, but I also think it's at the comfort level of the commissioners as well as what's reasonable on their part. If we could get them for 4 months, that'd put us into September. That'd be a great training season. Then in September sometime, we could think about doing the car flyers and have the whole thing picked up by end of September, as we're starting to wind down in the tower / training yard. Of course, the way the weather's been going, we'll probably have snow in August. We get 6 inches tomorrow, supposedly. So they had suggested, recommended, asked for 3 to 4 months. I think that could be. I think start with 4 months, and if we use the cars up ahead of time, we can always have Tim, as I said, pick them up earlier. But say a close date of we're gonna have the yard cleaned up by end of September, mid-September, something like that. If cars are still usable for training by that date.
Months?
I'm fully supportive. I think the chiefs and line officers, if you guys have some mechanism to mark the car as done and get it out of there, if it's an ice, you know what I mean? If it's really cut up bad, don't just let it sit there, because we are inside the Radisson confines. So
And I think that, very good point. I think maybe that's why, at least from my perspective as a training chief, I probably ought to keep my fingers on the pulse of that, whether it be officially that they have to notify me, and I'm not asking for all kinds of control or power over this. It's not a power grab or anything like that. But I can go down, take a look at the cars. If they look to me like they're getting end of life, I can talk to the officers and say, do you have any other thoughts about how this is going to, how else you're going to use this? If they're starting to wind down, I'm starting to feel, or you folks are starting to feel they're starting to look a little tattered, or they might raise an eyebrow with Radisson, we'll get them taken out. Yep, that's a very good point.
That would be my only concern. That's my only concern, is just it's a lot, it's more cars than we've ever done, and it's much longer than we've ever done.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a departure from the way we have been doing it, but I think that you've outlined the program very nicely as far as how you would control it. Any other thoughts? Are we okay to let them move forward?
Would you like to kind of, let me offer this up. As I start working through this, and I called Tim on Friday, and then I saw him on Sunday, and he thought Monday he could deliver us a car and a barn, all attached. We had a car into a barn.
I get it. Oh.
It's a dad joke. It's a dad joke. We had a car into a barn on Saturday, the barn over on River. So Tim was teasing me, needling me a little bit. He says, "Hey Chief, I think I got a second car for you. Will you take it with the barn attached?" And I said, "Tim, let me talk to the commissioners before you start delivering cars and barns and everything else." Would you folks like to maybe give me a liaison with the commissioners? And as this progresses, I can have conversations with that commissioner and say, here's what we're doing, here's what I'm thinking, here's where we are, and have somebody to bounce it off of. That way, it didn't occur to me that Radisson may raise an eyebrow, but this way, if you folks are seeing something, you can whisper in my ear so that we don't end up, stepping on anybody's toes or creating any ire with that. I've had several conversations with Lynn Tanner about some other things related to the fire department, and she has been wonderful. So I'd like to stay on her good side by not having her get a phone call from...
Me too.
That's what happens if you're on the bad side, Jerry.
He difference.
He blames it on me. But again, she's been wonderful to work with. If she gets a phone call from somebody that's complaining about cars, I certainly don't want her to have to make that phone call. So just thinking maybe somebody that I can bounce ideas off and say, that's a great idea, Joe, but did you consider this? Just.
Who wants to volunteer for the board?
I'll work.
Jeremy, too.
Listen to my dad jokes.
Okay, is there any objection to the proposal?
Or any concerns that you might think of.
What was that, Joe?
Or any concerns.
Oh, concern.
And by all means, if tomorrow morning or sometime you think of something or something comes up, please reach out to me. Like I said, I think this is a good idea. I think there's going to be a lot of moving parts to get it in place and have it go smoothly, but I think we can do something.
If you refresh my mind, how is the pad, the concrete pad, is that big enough for 4 vehicles?
It won't fit 4 vehicles, so what I'm thinking is, and I might need Jerry's cooperation a little bit with it, the 2 on the pad would be the ones we would cut up, and then the 2 off the pad would be the ones we wouldn't do as much, you know, the popping the locks and the less invasive stuff we could do off the pad. I also had a conversation with Tim, because Jerry always reminds me, and I appreciate that, he's gonna fully prep the cars for me so that the fluids are drained, et cetera, so that's, you know, so if we tip a car on the side or as we're cutting cars and things like that, we don't lose a lot of fluids. I don't think the pads are big enough for 4 cars, but I think there is space out there. Jerry, thoughts?
No way. 2 cars at the most.
Right. Which would be, probably the 2 that we cut up would be
If you want to
best.
put one on the side, you probably ought to put it in the stone next to it.
Yeah, that
The
was
concrete
fine.
doesn't hold wood good.
Yeah. So the stabilization one, if we get to a point where we're going to tip it on its side, for example, and again, I would take personal control of how that's done, but nonetheless, that would be on the stones because we get a much bigger purchase for that. Then when we reach for it, we're going to burn them. We'll take the cars that are cut up, get them hauled off, move the other 2 cars onto the pads, and then you can burn those on the concrete. Or I can work with Jerry on that. We're down in the, farther down the road.
Well, I guess it's a go. Yeah, good, thank you for researching that and laying it out for us so thoroughly.
I did while I'm thinking about it. I talked with Tim, and he gave me I'll call it a quote, and it would be $375 per car, prepped, dropped off, and picked up and hauled away. So, and the first time I talked with him, that price is based on several different things, and one of them is scrap price. So when I initially talked to him, he says, I gotta check on scrap price and things like that. So maybe Jerry can remember, I sort of remember, maybe you folks remember what we paid for them in the past. That's kind of a fluctuating number depending on commodity prices and stuff, I gather. So,
I think it's ballpark.
yeah, it's within, I remember a number, but I won't say it out loud because I'm sort of kind of guessing, and it was pretty close to that.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
Wonder if you ought to give him half money down. I mean, there's no way he should be waiting until September to get his money. I mean, really,
Yeah. Good thought.
third
Yeah.
down or something.
Maybe, yeah, let me give him a call and see what he's comfortable with, maybe pay him for 2
Well, I'm sure he'll
cars.
say.
2 cars
And
now,
full will be
2 cars to
fine.
pick up. He may ask for 4, he may ask for all 4 cars to be paid for, but I'll talk with him. Like I say, he was pretty sure he could get me 4 cars, he was pretty sure he could get me 2 cars, and he was gonna start checking into getting a 3rd car and a 4th car. So,
Do you need a motion for the spend?
Probably would better.
So it's 375, 1,500. You want to say up to 2,000 for 4 cars? I'll make the motion for training.
Second by Mike Sherrill. discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you very much for your cooperation.
It's a go. Okay. Anything else to report?
No, I think I've taken up enough of your time.
Okay. Committee reports, communication, reports, building and facilities, long term. Who's in charge of long term?
Was it buildings and facilities or long-term?
Well, the difference between building maintenance and building and facilities. So, like the courts parking lot, that's on hold.
That's on hold, and I think we should move that to the long term. And as for the Station 2 roof, as for materials, I think we're in the same boat as what Jerry said last month, right?
Yeah, we still haven't got an answer.
They're still on the slow boat from China.
Yeah.
Still coming.
Okay, new truck committee,
Nothing new. Chief Corcoran gave the update on the slow stuff coming in, starting to trickle in. MBT gets installed tomorrow, hopefully, and then as equipment comes in, Vandermolen's gonna get that installed. But it's slow going.
Lysander Public Safety, next meeting is tomorrow, April 19th at Plainville. The Tri-County Water Task Force drill at Senate, April 23rd and 24th. Budget and Finance, the 2023 budget preparation schedule will be forthcoming. I'll have that out in the next month or so. IT Committee,
Two updates. We started the replacement of some PCs, and the station board development is underway. Hopefully we'll have some updates this month.
Recruitment and Retention.
I have nothing other than hoping for the weather to cooperate some weekend so we can get this going.
Could I ask how much we've spent on the whole fire extinguisher program at this point? For how many years that we've done?
I don't have that report.
We haven't spent anything probably
We haven't
2
this year,
years,
no.
3
Yeah.
years.
So our return on investment is pretty much nothing. And it's really just a marketing program. It's not really a recruitment program when you think
What
about
do you
it.
think a recruitment program is?
A recruitment program is when you actually get people who actually, as a result of it, and you haven't had anybody. So it's really a marketing the department. Is that really what you're doing?
Isn't that what a recruitment program does?
No, not really, not always, because you're recruiting, you're not really, you're marketing the department as being there for as a service to them, and the recruitment, you're actually putting things together. I don't know what your packet says. Has your packet been reviewed by the department over time, as you've made changes?
Yes.
Because I understand you were making changes this year, and did that get reviewed by the acting president or anyone else on the board?
Not that I'm aware of.
You take applications with you.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely a recruitment program for new members, or new homeowners in the area. Do you have a better
The
idea?
numbers that we've spent on it, nobody really knows how much money we've put out of taxpayers' money to market the department.
Oh, we can pull that up very easily.
I've asked this before and I've never had a number given to me, so I
Never heard
guess
this request.
I can go back in minutes and tell you that it's there.
So what is the better idea you have for recruitment?
I don't have any better idea at this point in time, but I'm telling you that there is from what I'm seeing, this is a marketing program. You're marketing the department by giving out fire extinguishers in a packet. That's what you're doing. You're really not recruiting anybody.
Sometimes we do. We have great conversations with these neighboring neighbors and we have great conversations, and people have the interest and we talk about it. I mean, it's up to them whether they come forward and fill the application out. We can't force them to. But great conversations are had with our community when we do go out.
It's great that we're doing a great job in communicating. It's whether we get anybody as a
can't force
result.
them.
And I understand that. We've had interest from a couple support members down in the Dutchman's Park at the McCary, whatever the, not McCary, the thing over in Radisson.
Founders Day.
Founders Day. We've never seen their applications either.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's really a marketing, and it's great, we're having conversations and telling them we're out there. But I don't see that it's a recruitment, and it's certainly not retention.
It's a twofold when we go out there. I mean, we are welcoming them, and we are hoping they do join. I mean, that's the best we can do when we go out there. Have conversations, again, it's up to the individuals. Seems nowadays people rather throw money at something than volunteer their time, so sadly, that's where we're at.
That's absolutely true. But I'm just questioning it and
Yeah,
asking for
we're
numbers,
trying,
because
Mark.
I've not seen them. I've asked numbers before, you actually told me you'd get them to me, and you haven't yet, because I can go back in minutes and find it. I happened to see it recently, so. Just looking at an ROI to the taxpayers.
Oh, just the fire extinguishers, what do you?
No, the whole
I
program.
can pull some numbers for it.
Yeah,
I just don't
I'm just
have it.
wondering, if we're not doing that, what are you suggesting?
I'm not suggesting anything right now. I think you need to have a forum with a lot of members to find out what they feel they need, that the department needs in order to gain
Which we
members. And I
did.
think that is something
This
you
was
need
the
to have.
project that came out of that forum.
Well, I think
remember?
you need to go back and look. It's
Security.
been 3 to 5 years, and it's time to get them back engaged.
Okay.
Joe, or Chief Corcoran talks about improving morale. You have that's a huge issue in getting them engaged and finding out what they feel is needed to gain membership and to improve membership and get more members. So I'm just pointing it out to you.
Personnel, we have no report. Caretaker leader report, we have the caretaker's report in our folders. The caretaker's report, John was out sick, and he was on vacation for a good portion of his report. So, are there any questions for Jerry on the caretaker leader report?
No.
No questions? Okay. Truck maintenance. Is that you and
Yep.
Jerry?
Yeah, nothing, Jerry's got some odds and ends, that's about it.
Nothing major. Looking forward to get our PMs done on the big rigs. Go ahead, or
Yep.
I would schedule them by May or something.
Okay, building maintenance.
We had a leak at Station 1 over by the showers. Jerry went up and take a look at it, and siliconed, and we're good to go, right, Jerry?
It's,
I mean,
yeah,
as far as we
I don't
know.
know, in a week or two, the silicone takes a week to dry.
And then headquarters, we're still waiting. Dan,
Yeah.
not under
The guy
warranty.
they walked through, and he's gonna come back with an estimate with Mike.
Right.
Too bad you can't do the same thing for headquarters.
Yeah, I know.
You want me to call him? Try to call him? Give me his number, I'll try to do a drive-by.
One thing on the, excuse me, with Quartz's house was Mike and Diane were gonna walk. Are we gonna be able to let grade that off? Cause I'm not gonna be able to mow in there. There's gonna be weeds that are gonna be 5 foot tall by August. It's not gonna look that good.
Where are you talking?
Well, you know where Quartz's house was? It's rough grade. And it needs, I don't know what to tell you.
Topsoil or take it down?
Oh, it needs to be taken down with a bulldozer. There's some cement sidewalks in there that are right flush underneath the grass. We want to make it level and seed it. It's gonna take some,
You got high spots and low spots there? I mean,
Yeah.
it was really wet.
yeah, there's low spots and high spots.
Do we have a bot bed? We have a,
Yeah, it won't, it's got tires on it, it won't grip through the dirt.
I mean, if we put 3 or 4 inches of top over, we'll put a cover with 3 or
No,
4
it's,
inches.
it's not, the high spots are too high and the low spots are too low. And I didn't know what your intentions was, is just to mow around it and let the weeds grow in the middle? I don't know.
Are all the, I know last year, there was concern either shortly after the tear down of the house of the pipes underground. Those all taken care of?
There's a gas line that goes to River Road by the house and nobody knows where it's at. And that's why the contractor left the driveway in there too, because he wasn't gonna get involved in ripping that gas line out. That's why they beat it and left.
Didn't they mark it before they?
No, there's 2 lines. There's one that goes down Patchett Road and one that comes out Patchett at an angle that goes to the river. And that's the one they can't find. It's gas lines, it's plastic, there's no sheeted wire or nothing like that. So, you know, it doesn't look that bad now, but, you know, another month or 2 when the weeds start growing. I didn't know if it bothered you or not.
Well, I guess we have Diane and Mike
Right.
figure something out.
Okay.
Old business, long-term planning, I think that's still on hold. Policy review, we do have 4 policies that were distributed, and there's copies are here. First one, 00-030, CBA prescription lenses. Are there any comments on that? Not much change, very little change. Okay, we have a motion to approve. Jeremy and Mike Chura. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. The 10-year PPE policy. I don't think there's any changes here. We just put that in the format that follows our basic format. Motion by Mike Chura, second by Diane. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. The cooker policy. Same thing here, I think it's just that it was formatted. I don't think there was any major changes. Motion to approve, Mike Malone, Jeremy. Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. The LGS 1 retention and disposition schedule. This did change because New York State changed their, used to be an MU1. In fact, I think down at the bottom, it says schedule MU1 adoption. We need to change that to LGS 1. It doesn't say that yet. I haven't heard it.
Oh, I did. The,
She already did it.
no, it's not the footnote. It says everyone adoption.
Oh, footnote. Mine, way down at the bottom here. Yep, it says LG, it says
Gotcha,
MU1
gotcha.
adoption.
Yep.
Yeah, so we just need to cross that out and put LGS 1 there. Motion to approve. Jeremy and Mike Malone. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. That's done. We'll have 4 more next month, hopefully. Hose testing. Amy, did you research that?
Yep, the hard suction is the same price at $20 a length. The hose testing is up 5 cents per foot to 26 cents per foot. We have a little over 15,000 feet, so you're looking at about a $715 increase for hose testing.
Increase.
I have a question. Didn't we last year not do the hard suction?
I don't think we did.
Right.
We did.
Can we take that off? Do testing the hard suction?
Without doing it?
Yeah,
I would assume so.
because we did it last year.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
We didn't test it last year.
Correct.
Right. So we took it off last year. So take it off again this year. And just do the soft sleeves.
How many lengths of hard suction do we have? I don't think it's many. Right, there's 3 on 21,
Three
there's 2
on
on 11.
21, 2 on 11, or 3 on 11, I don't know, that's about it.
So you're talking $100.
What's the burst pressure?
I mean, it's not gonna affect what I'm saying, it's, you're looking at about 4,000 for hose testing.
Yeah, I didn't include the hard suction in that increase. Because we didn't test
My
it.
point is there's nothing to test.
Yeah. All it
And
is,
that was last year's discussion for the hard suction.
yeah, all it is circling no, so we don't want hard suction.
So we're looking at 3,900 for hose testing this year? Is that right?
I don't know if we have,
15,000 feet at 26 cents is 3,900.
we have over that, little,
So you want to say up to 5,000? Think that would be enough?
should be. Yeah, 'cause I don't know.
I think that should be more than enough. We got rid of some.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
The
know.
other hasn't come
We
in
don't
yet.
have as much
Yeah,
spare
the new ones
anymore.
won't have to be tested.
Right.
Yeah, that would be more.
Well, we've got less hoses.
Yeah,
Then
I don't
last
think
year.
we have, I
When do
would.
we typically do that?
Anywhere from end of May, June to middle August. Whenever he's in the area, he usually calls us up.
So I'll make a motion for up to 5,000 for hose testing for 2022.
Did you get that, Amy? Mike, sure, a second. Okay, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Commissioner Thompson and Malone have both completed their required commissioner training and their certificates, training certificates into the district secretary. So we put the chief's vehicle out for bid. We spoke about that last month. We put it out for bid. We didn't get any bids. And we're wondering if it is partially because we were going to hold, the bidder was going to have to hold their bid for 30 or 60 days. And things are moving so quickly in the auto business these days that we're thinking perhaps if we do the permissive referendum now, and then put it out for bid again, and we can only put, then we would be able to put like a 15-day or a 30-day hold instead of a 60-day hold. So, you know, planning ahead a little better, and hopefully we can try to rebid it. So that would be a vote to you, Mike?
I think that works better because the dealerships have kind of changed how they do business. It's more going in and you order what you want. And then 3 or 4 weeks, depending on the make of your car, is when you get it. I think their whole style of selling has changed, that they're not going to have 50 to 100 cars on a lot that you can choose from in the future. It's going to be more spec what you want, whatever time you're putting in. So for us to be able to spec what we want, we have to be able to sign up front, which is purposes of this referendum.
So what do you think, up to 60,000?
I think 60 would be good. We never know what their price jumps are. The last year when we received bids, they were lower. It was still during COVID. How much it's changed since then, we can't tell you because we didn't get any bids on the last one. But if we're short on this referendum, doesn't mean we have to spend it, but if we're short on this, we've got to come back to it, which means we could not purchase the car.
Oh, you want to bump it up a little bit?
No, I think 60 is good.
60 is good. Okay, so will you make that motion to purchase this used
Sure.
vehicle at a maximum of 60, subject to permissive referendum? Is there a second? Jeremy will second that. Further discussion? All in favor?
Question on your,
Opposed?
just a question on your style of chief vehicles. Are we gonna go try to start looking at the Clean Cab Act? Meaning pickup trucks to try to keep their gear and their packs out of the inside of their confined space?
So they make cabinetry now for the back of Tahoes and Explorers that's sealed
Oh,
for
okay.
a year. So, yeah,
Okay.
that is an option, no question. Yep, so it doesn't have to be a pickup, they've got
Right, just something that keep the
cabinetry
gear
that's
out of
airtight.
it.
You're gonna retrofit all the current chief's cars with that cabinetry so that the chiefs don't have to put their gear into the squads or whatever when they encounter an issue?
I don't know.
Just a question if it's been thought of.
I doubt it, I don't know, I think better just the taxpayer money, we retire the cars in order and retrofit them as new cars become available. Would be my suggestion. It's up to the board.
So I think we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We have public comments.
Yeah, with the new chief's vehicle, what will be the intentions of the old vehicle, chief's vehicle? Will you be selling it?
Possibly keeping it.
Why would we keep it when we have enough vehicles now?
Because we may sell a squad.
Pardon?
A squad.
Sell a squad. Get a new chief's car, keep the old chief's car, sell a squad. Is what he's.
That's what we have on one for the Medicar now,
Two,
huh?
yeah. And two.
Or on two.
Can't keep drinking.
See, we have too many vehicles.
Another comment, you guys last month were asked to change your emblem, which you did. The SOGs, which are the departments, have the district logo on it.
So SOGs of the district.
Those always fall under the fire department, because they're the ones who sit there and make all the requirements and everything else during the chiefs and officers and all that.
Right, the chief makes them under the authority of the district.
So all the SOGs now are all property of so you do the SOGs and policies.
The district is
Interesting. 'Cause I was always under the impression that those were fire department.
it is firemen. That's why it's under the district.
Okay. And one other comment that I would appreciate, last month, you guys had your personnel, your executive session, and then after that, some things took place. Just a communication type. Next thing I hear rumor-wise that the president's been, for the department, has been suspended, but there was no communication to the executive board or anybody in the department saying, the only thing I appreciate would have been is, we suspended your president, he's under further investigations, don't need any other comments or anything like that, but just an email to the executive board saying, you no longer have a president, active president right now, so you need to make some changes. I mean, for me, I really don't want the presidency seat. I didn't ask for it, but I'll take it for now until who knows what the outcome is. But just a communication would have been nice, an email. I got a letter from Amy saying, now that you're the acting president, here's some mail that's coming over to you. But I never received anything from the board itself, which the district. Just a comment, an email would have been appreciated. I don't need fax. The department doesn't need fax or anything like that. Just to say, hey, at this time, your president's been suspended, pending further outcome, and that's it. That would have been a proper way of just communication. I mean, we're trying to build a communication between the department and the district. That's all I'm asking for, that's all.
So noted.
Yep, and not just for president, but like if any other members or anything like that, we don't need explanation. Just say, hey, Joe Schmo's been suspended, pending further investigation. Good enough. That's all we need. Just so we're kind of in the loop.
Okay, any other comments? We will be moving into executive session for,
Hey, can I just ask one question? On M2, I thought they were gonna make a new, whatever, policy for it, because right now, when we take it, we literally can't leave the district, or our section at all. I can't even go up the street to church. I mean, that's why we don't take it all the time, because we're so bound here. We can't go to the store. I mean, we can't go anywhere. We can't go across the river the way it is now.
Yeah, that's one of the policies coming up, is the take-home policy, so
Okay.
it is coming up, for
Okay.
sure. That's one of the complaints we've gotten from the EMTs is you're basically under house arrest.
Yeah, we are.
Sign out them too.
we'll work on that specific policy. That wasn't on my desk to work on, but we will work on that. Executive session for G, resume and employment history of individual which may lead to his continued employment with the district. We don't anticipate any action after the meeting. So, somebody make a motion. Jeremy makes a motion. Diane seconds the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving to executive session.